Hey everyone, this is Isaac from Nonessential Media, and you are listening to the Chaos Fiction Podcast. This is a mature-rated podcast, so listener discretion is advised. As always, I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the third episode of the Chaos Fiction, where we read really good or really bad fan fiction, depending on your opinion of the matter. I am your curator. My name is Jackie, and reading today is...
Rachel.
Louis.
Sylvia.
Isaac.
Nate.
Aaron.
Woo! And in that order is what we're going to read. And this is a special episode. This is a Paw Patrol episode. And so pretty much, if you've never listened to the podcast, the way this works is we're going to read you fan fiction. And as soon as someone gets out of character or laughs... or pauses too long, we're going to buzz them out. When they get buzzed out, the next person has to come in and take over their place. So, guys, this is the Paw Patrol episode, and we're going to read from one story. It's Paw Patrol Sex Stories by 4 Times the Steak. I just want to know who the fuck writes this shit. And if you are the person who wrote this, please contact me. I want to meet you because I need to know why you woke up in the morning and wrote Paw Patrol Sex Stories. But here's Rachel to start us off.
Can't wait. My favorite. All right. Marshall, first person point of view.
I hate it when people do that. I just want to interject real quick. I hate when people switch point of views. Don't do that. If you're a writer, fucking don't. Thank you. Continue.
I was laying in my bed watching TV when a knock on my pup house door made me jump in surprise. As I got up to answer it, a louder knock happened again. "I'm coming!" I yelled, hurrying to answer the door this time. When I opened the door, I was surprised to see my girlfriend, Everest, standing there. She looked sad. She was soaked. I hadn't realized it was raining. "Everest, please come in." She nodded gratefully and sat down on the couch and stared at the coffee table. "Everest, what's wrong?" Everest just stared at the table until finally she looked up at me. She stood up and walked over to me. I was about to ask her what was wrong a second time, but she kissed me before I could ask. When we both pulled away, she put her hands together and looked down at the floor with a sad and guilty look on her face. I walked over to her and threw my arms around her, knowing she needed some comfort.
They're dogs, though.
They're dogs.
"Marshall, I love you so much," she said, "and I knew this was going to be a bad outcome." "I love you too, baby," I said. "And well, we've been dating for 3 years now." "I know, baby. Tomorrow's our anniversary," I said, scared now. "Yes, I remembered, but there's something I wanted to ask you." Still that sad and guilty look on her face. "What was wrong?" "Baby, you can tell me anything. You know that, right?" "Of course, Marshall. It's just really hard to say to you in person." She paused and looked into my eyes. "Will you have sex with me?" she asked and blushed hard, but didn't look away. "Do you know how long I've been wanting you to say that for?"
2 years, probably.
I asked, and she smiled, the red from her cheeks quickly disappearing. Guess it was a good outcome. Everest laid on the bed, and I undressed myself, and then her. I climbed onto the bed with her. She laid on her back and spread her back paws, showing me her vagina. I put my head between her legs and licked her bits over and over. Everest moaned, and I pushed my tongue inside her, forcing a louder moan out of her. I took my tongue away, knowing if I continued, she would come too early. All right, now we're on to Everest. First person point of view.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you. We should almost have someone else read Everest's point of view.
Does someone else want to?
Yeah, who's next on the list?
Who's next?
Louis.
Oh, no. On this very special episode.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm scared for myself. All right. Everest, first person point of view. When Marshall pulled away, I knew what he wanted me to do. I pushed him on his back and put my face in between his legs. I licked his balls slowly, wanting him to moan, and it worked, which totally turned me on. I moved up in his penis and began licking up and down his shaft, him moaning all the way. When my tongue had gotten wet enough, he pushed me on my back again and lined up his penis with my vagina.
Wait, are these dogs?
They're like dog people because they can get on. Oh, I guess they can wear clothes as dogs.
I'm just curious what the fuck's going. Continue.
Everest, are you sure? Oh, wait. Everest, are you sure? Marshall asked me. "Yes, Marshall, I love you." I love you too, baby. His tip went inside of me, and we both moaned. He went very slowly, and he got to my hymen. He kissed me as he thrusted quickly and tore it. I screamed into the kiss, and once again he wrapped his paws around me, kissing me hard on the mouth. When I finally pulled away, I nodded, and he continued slowly. We both began to moan again. I wondered what it was like to have a penis. Because
What was?
I wonder what this lady is.
Oh my god.
It was really quiet that whole time. Everyone was very focused on your reading, and then as soon as you said that,
Where were you?
well, I mean, they're fucking, so that's first.
I don't know if you can really get past that part.
This
Like,
right there.
Okay.
That's the whole story.
I guess it is Paw Patrol.
So now they're gonna get married. Now they're gonna
12
get married.
pages
Just like-
of absolute sex.
Be there
When I
on
finally
double.
pulled away, I nodded.
Coming on the double. What is wrong with you?
I've read too many of these now.
So now we need to rewrite the intro to Paw Patrol.
Oh my god, please, for the beginning of this episode, we're gonna rewrite it and you're gonna sing it.
Can we do it really dramatically?
If you think I'm joking, I'm gonna be at your house tonight and you're gonna record it.
I mean, okay.
No
know
pup
where
too
I live.
big, no vagina too small.
Don't do too big.
Oh, I was fine. When I finally pulled away, I nodded, and he continued slowly, and we both
Isaac, buddy, it's you next.
Isaac, you got this.
I don't want to have it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all on some sort of watch list now.
You just hear FBI. When I finally pulled away, I nodded, and he continued slowly, and we both began to moan again. I wondered what it was like to have a penis, because I knew this wasn't hurting him at all, but he didn't know it was hurting me badly. But it also felt good, despite the pain, and when the pain completely went away, it felt so good. I even wanted him to fuck me faster.
But it's me.
At least I got through the paragraph. Where were we?
The penis.
Faster, Marshall?
Faster, Marshall, sure. Nate, you got
You
this.
guys always just happen to come in at like the most.
Come in, yeah.
Come in.
Oh, I haven't even read yet. Jesus. Faster, Marshall, I whispered to him. He sped up, and I moaned so loud I wouldn't be surprised if the whole Paw Patrol heard it. Or at least one other member. Rumble walked in and asked what we were doing.
Just walked in.
He didn't know.
If you have to ask what they're doing, like.
He didn't know what sex was, so we pulled away immediately and put the blanket over us. Me hiding my naked body, Marshall hiding his boner. Just watching TV, Rubble, I lied quickly. Oh, okay, Rubble said, and left at that. Now, where were we, I asked, and being extremely horny and wanting to finish me off.
Aaron, you're up.
So now Rumble's in there.
No, he left. He left.
He left.
He left.
Now where were we, I asked, being extremely horny and wanting him to finish me off. I pushed him on his back and began riding up and down on his penis, and a smacking noise occurred every time I did. Rubble burst back first into the room and saw me riding Marshall. He walked in. We fucked faster, not caring if the little aged pup saw.
Oh my
I bounced up and down until Chase...
Your voice just kept quivering, and I was like, no, it's not gonna last.
Rachel's back to you.
Rachel?
It is? Oh no, okay.
Watch, she's gonna get through the whole thing.
That's only the
actually good.
last paragraph.
Which one?
Is there a part two? Can you email this?
This one? Okay. I bounced up and down until Chase screamed. I came all over his dick, and me clamping down on him caused him to blow his load inside me. We both moaned at our orgasms, and then laid down, completely forgetting Rumble and falling asleep with his penis still inside me. Do you
What
want
the
someone
fuck
else to
just
read
happened?
Zuma's?
Well, it's chapter 2, so whoever, you can continue if you want to. This is the second chapter,
Okay.
so this is another Paw Patrol.
Chapter 2, Zuma, first person point of view. I used to like Sky back in pup school, and we even kissed a couple of times. But I never wanted it to come down to this. I loved Sky, but I guess, well, maybe pleasure is as persuasive as alcohol. Maybe you just can't resist it. Oh, but enough avoiding the point. How could she do that to me? Did she rape me? Can a girl even rape a guy? I feel so violated, and even her seeing me naked was horrible, much less, I don't know what to think about it anymore. Wait, is Zuma the one she was doing?
No, this is different.
It's a new chapter.
Oh,
This is a
that's
new
right. We're in
sex
chapter
story.
2. I was like, what?
3 pups.
Okay.
It's a whole patrol.
Well, now we're on to Sky's third person point of view. Do you
But
want me to
Sky
continue?
can't have a third person point of view. Sky should have a first person point of view.
Well,
It's third person though, Jackie.
That's okay.
it's very short. Do you want me to read it?
Read it. Do it.
Sky walked along the pup house driveway, mad at the world, and even more pissed at Chase. She had just walked into her pup house when, now we're on to Sky's third person point of view, flashback.
Oh shit! It's flashback time.
Sky had just walked into her pup house. The smell in the air was of liver-flavored biscuits, and Sky had thought Chase was going to surprise her with some sort of liver-flavored treat. She hadn't liked liver, but didn't have the heart to tell Chase that, though. She just quietly gave them to Everest. Everest loves liver. She continued her path along into the small kitchen, which consisted only of a food bowl, a water dish, and a small table. She then noticed a tealish-colored hat sitting on the table. Everest's hat? Sky was about to bring it to her, and in her pup house when Everest's loud moan abruptly stopped her in her tracks. It hit her all at once, and she barged into the bedroom to confirm her worst nightmare. She'd walked in just in time to see Chase and Everest on her bed. Sky watched as Chase finished doggy styling Everest. She filled her vagina with his seed until there was so much it dripped out of Everest and onto Sky's bed. All right, Sky, third person point of view, present
That a
time.
third fucking.
I'm just confused. It keeps changing. We go to flashback,
Well, no,
present.
that's not
I
even
still
third
don't know what's
person.
happening anymore. I don't know who this is or where
It's
it's
still-
happening or when it's happening. I just know that.
I just know that it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
All right, Sky's third person point of view, present time. Thinking of the memory filled Sky with rage, and she marched onward towards the lookout, not sure where else to go. She had loved Zuma forever, but Chase didn't see her getting pumped full of his doggy sperm. Thinking that last thought gave her an idea, but she never got to finish it because Chase and his police patroller came speeding over the hill and came rushing straight at her. Half a second later, she was dead, squashed all over the pavement. But wait, no, she was alive. She opened her eyes in time to see Zuma, who had pushed her out of the way, get hit by the car. Ooh, plot twist.
I wasn't ready.
Wait, this is getting super strong.
Who's dead?
Zuma.
Okay.
Sky got
God.
saved by Zuma. She screamed, but nothing could stop the moment. She closed her eyes and images began to dance in her head. Bad idea. She reopened her eyes to get the horrible pictures out of her tuned and ran into Marshall, who was already racing to Zuma's aid. Sky was overwhelmed, and that's an understatement. She had been through so much today, and it was finally resulted in arrest. She blacked out and hoped for a peaceful sleep, but even her dreams were corrupted with rage, hatred, distrust, vengeance, and the worst, heartbreak. In her dreams, she relived the accident over and over again, but she couldn't make it stop. Sky, third person point of view. Sky jolted awake in the hospital room, connected to wires and machines, and only one she could recognize, the IV needle in her front leg. She looked along frantically, desperate to see a familiar face, and she did, but it wasn't the one she was hoping for. Everest sat, crying in a chair next to her bed. Sky lay in. Sky, first person point of view.
Why does it switch point of view? Again, bad writing. Just don't do it.
Why does it start to feel more and more like an episode of Law and Order?
It's actually really intense. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Cry, Everest, cry. Cry for Zuma. Cry for me. Cry for every fucking dog in Adventure Bay. Cry a tear for everyone
Oh,
until you feel the fucking ocean. Just cry. I said, exaggerating every fucking as it might be the last fuck I'd ever say. Oh, Sky, it isn't like that. It wasn't she started. Well, then what the fuck was it? I gave you every fucking treat from him, and you just couldn't get enough. Could you, you fat ass fucking whore? Why don't
You fat ass fucking whore.
Okay,
Louis,
wait,
you're
who's
up.
next?
What kind of
The
shit?
Law and Order. It's like,
Dun dun.
Dun dun.
Did you
Okay,
even get this
I was
far
in the
yet?
middle of here.
Did you even get
So
this
you might
far?
want to
No, I
Okay.
literally read up until the dogs were having human sex in the first chapter, and I was like, this is the one.
It's like Sky and Everest?
Dun, dun,
Meat
dun,
fin.
dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun. On the next episode of Justified.
Oh my god.
It's gonna be intense.
I don't even know if I can do this.
You got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
fucking bitch.
Pretty sure she calls her a slut at one point too, but we'll find out.
Alright. Oh, Sky, it isn't like that. It wasn't what you think she started. Well, then what the fuck was it? I gave you every fucking treat from him, and you just couldn't get enough. Could you, you fat ass fucking whore? Why don't you go ahead and tell me what it was then, you greedy little slut? Because I'm fucking dying, you know? I interrupted hastily, letting loose on her. Sky, no! He said that you two were done. He said that he loved me, that I was special, and that if I loved him back, I would do this for him. She blurted between two sobs. I didn't know, Sky, I swear. Ask him. I had no fucking clue, honest. I hate him just as much as you, because if he got me pregnant, I'm not raising his pups. I'll get an abortion. Do you know how fucking horrible that is? You're going to give me a shot to kill the puppies inside of me. A wave of sorrow rushed over me and I cried. A tear for everyone, enough to fill a bucket or the fucking ocean. I called Chase, who was now being held in a jail cell. When he answered, I asked if Everest had known with her sitting right next to
on
his
purpose?
cell.
The cop of the Who's guarding you?
No, she didn't. But hey, don't you dare hang up. He answered as he hung up on him. Marshall, third person point of view. Marshall hated his job sometimes, especially breaking bad news to the loved ones of his clients. Worst case scenario, he had to break it to a mom of her 9-year-old son who would not make it through his lung cancer, developed from her smoking while pregnant.
Did this just become ER?
Best case scenario, he would get to tell her that he was perfectly healthy and that he would be going home that night. But like many things, that is impossible. So he tells the woman the bad news and continues to go to the next patient. It's a wonder he's held up this long, and even more wondrous that he almost never gets to break the good news. Thank the Lord, his next client happens to be his best buddy Zuma, and after that, Sky, and he, for once, gets to be the bearer of good news. The thought pulls a smile to his face, which becomes scarce lately. Zuma, third person point of view. Zuma lays in bed and stares at the ceiling, dumbfounded that he was still alive. The next few hours happen in a series of flashes, which Zuma later understands were the meds clouding his thoughts. The meds were clouding his thoughts. Marshall comes in, tells Zuma his broken rib cage was mended, had some bullshit about what a hero what he is and whatnot. He'll be going home this evening. Isn't that exciting? Whoa, what? He thinks, I don't understand. But the only thing he manages to spit out is a groan before blacking out once again. Zuma, first person point of view. I wake up again, but unlike last time, my thoughts are clear. All the pain felt before was gone. I am all healed up. Marshall tells me seemingly
Wow, was that
unusually
easy?
happy.
Great fucking doctoring.
Maybe he's just glad I'm alive. The thought makes him feel better. Everest and Sky come out of the bathroom together, which makes me wonder what they were doing in there anyways. But I save them the embarrassment and pretend to be asleep. But once they sit back down, I pretend to wake up, and act surprised to see them. And I notice that Everett's pup uniform is soaked on her vagina, but I pretended not to notice.
Sylvia, you're up.
Oh god.
No.
We're getting back into the
Okay,
good
wasn't
stuff.
Zuma dead? Like, did
Which
she-
one was it?
This is the most exciting episode of Paw Patrol I have ever fucking heard
Zuma
of.
got hit and we thought that she died, but didn't. Zuma's a girl, right?
I don't
Yeah.
fucking.
I think it's
I've
just Zuma's a
seen.
dude.
I thought
That's
Zuma's
not
a
again.
guy.
Apparently
Okay,
they're all
probably.
gods.
I
They
don't
have
know
to
anything
kneel
about
themselves
Paw Patrol. So
like in
Zuma-
2 seconds.
Zuma's not dead, but I thought he was.
The paragraph's long.
No
You
one's
wanted to
dead
start
yet.
in the middle?
Yeah, you can start them. You don't have to start the whole paragraph
Where
over.
he
It's
left
such a
off?
long. Yeah.
Or in the middle.
For the uniform.
Look for the wet
I
vagina.
mean, I go like, yeah.
Okay.
Right here. You were
Start
right here.
right there.
Once I sit back down, I pretend to wake up and act surprised to see them. I notice that Everett pup uniform is soaked on her vagina, but I pretend not to notice, even though seeing it aroused me a little bit, and I feel the urge to jerk off again. Last night...
He's in a fucking hospital. Isaac, it's you, dude. Oh. It's you, buddy.
You got this, Isaac. I believe in you.
Ooh. Where is it?
Look for soaked vagina. It's not hard, honestly.
there.
I'm gonna start giving that to people for directions. Okay, look for soaked vagina and then make a left.
Anytime.
Last time I masturbated was 2 weeks ago. Looking at a picture of
Were you
Everest
reading that, or
naked.
was that a some sort of
Confession. That she accidentally sent to me instead of Chase. Sexy. No, I wanted to keep reading.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sky and Everest's third person point
He's
of
very
view.
into
5
the
minutes
story.
ago.
He's arguing to keep reading.
After Everest told Sky the truth and Sky called Chase, Everest touched Sky's leg to comfort her. Sky appreciated her reassurance and was pleasantly surprised when Everest began to move her paw to the inside of her leg. Everest moved closer to Sky's vagina until Sky suddenly thrusted into Everest's paw.
That's too much for Isaac to handle.
Okay, I gotta. What the fuck was that sentence?
That one, but
Okay.
this paragraph.
I don't even know what's going on.
I know. Isn't this? Everest moved closer to Sky's vagina until Sky suddenly thrusted into Everest's paw. She quickly. Fuck, no, I couldn't do it.
Aaron, you got
Nope.
this.
I just remembered they were dogs, and I'm like, nope.
That's the hard part. It's remembering that they're dogs. That's
Literal
what gets
dogs. Something about the word paw, and I was just like,
you. Don't remember that they're dogs, Aaron.
he's
They're
like,
probably dogs.
He's like, that's the best part.
This is Aaron's kind of fiction right here.
Yeah, this is exactly what I read at night. Sky quickly put her hand inside the leg of Everest's paw suit and shoved it up her leg into her vagina. Everest gasped, and in the bed, Zuma began to stir in his sleep. Sky put a finger to her lips.
Wait,
okay.
where do the fingers come from? The whole paw's already in the vagina. An entire fucking paw's up
Hey.
there, and now a finger is just coming out of nowhere.
You're ruining the artist's interpretation.
Maybe they aren't dogs in this story.
Okay.
Maybe they're not.
Paws.
Exactly.
Maybe one is a
Yeah,
hand, and the other
it's
one's
like
a
that
man.
fucking just like their paw just a finger.
Okay,
straight-
sure. Continue.
Sky put a finger to her lips and pulled Everest into the bathroom. As soon as Everest had the door shut, the girls began hastily kissing and slipping tongue into each other's mouths. They undressed one another, and soon they were both making out naked on the bathroom floor. Sky pulled away and turned around so that Everest was on her back, on the floor. Sky laid her on her belly below Everest and began licking her vagina lips. Everest thrusted into Sky's tongue, and Sky was happy to enter the snow pup. She put her snout up to Everest's pussy and began... I can't read that.
So you left it for me?
Exactly.
No. Oh, back to the champ.
Okay, let's see.
That big paragraph.
Looks like we're only
What's
going to be
this
able to
one?
get
Yeah.
through this chapter, and then we'll be out of time.
Wait, do I need to restart it?
Right there.
Okay. She put her snout up to Everett's pussy and pumped her tongue in and out of her. Sky loved the taste of her pup bitch and ate her out happily and hungrily. Everest moaned quietly and reached her climax, all over Sky's face. Sky laid back and closed her eyes and was pleasantly surprised when she felt one of Everest's paws go inside her. She looked down at her and saw that she had already added 2 fingers. With Everest pumping her 3 fingers in and out of Sky's tiny vagina, it didn't take long for her to reach her orgasm, and then they cleaned each other up and went back to Zuma's room. Zuma's first-person point of view, present time. Hey, you guys, I said with a big smile on my face. They smiled back and both blurted out, how are you feeling? Actually, I feel great, Marshall says. I'm good to walk out of here in a couple of hours, just as soon as they make sure all the medications have worn off. But I don't really remember what happened. Sky and Everest looked at each other as if wondering who would have to break the news to me. Finally, Sky said, it's okay, Everest. I'll tell him. Everest nodded and left, looking very depressed all of a sudden. Sky looked me in the eyes, then looked back down at the floor and began, it's a long story, but, well, Chase tried to kill me. He tried to run me over, but you saved me. You pushed me out of the way. You saved me, Zuma, and I don't know why, but you did. Sky started to move over to me slowly, and I didn't think anything of it until she began to talk in a seductive tone of voice. Something about how she loved me and how she wanted to repay me. And I said something like, okay, but I don't really remember that part, just the following part. She moved towards me and pulled my covers off and climbed on top of me. She tied my paws to the 4 corners of the bed and began to move her hips up and down on my crotch, trying to get me aroused. Please, Sky, no, don't do this. You don't have to repay anything. Sky, please. I started to desperately
him
whimper.
by raping him?
But she covered my mouth with pillows and began raping me. She grabbed my penis and leveled it with her vagina and lowered herself on, and I cried into the pillow on my snout. She began bouncing up and down on me, and it felt so good. But I didn't want it from her, so all I could do was cry and imagine it was Everest doing all this, and that helped. I subconsciously began to thrust, and we did this for a long time. Finally, I had to come, and I couldn't stop it, so I let loose my load and prayed she wouldn't get pregnant. She moaned in my ear, and I felt her vagina get really tight for a second, and then she stopped. I will never forget this day, and even now, I still don't understand what all happened in those few
That's
short
literally
weeks.
us right now.
Chapter 3.
Oh, thank God, it's over.
Oh.
That was a full episode right there for those 2 chapters. That was.
So first, he gives his life for this girl, and then to
she
repay
rapes him.
she rapes him.
That's.
But it was better
Seems
because
logical.
you imagined it was
Yeah,
Everest.
if it was Everest, then the rape would be okay.
Then it would be fine. Yep.
Wait, is that why at the beginning he's all like, can a girl even rape you?
I guess.
You remember this?
Mind blown. Mind blown.
It's like a paper.
Someone was paying attention.
Yeah.
It obviously wasn't with the majority of us.
And bookmark.
Alright, so that was the super special Paw Patrol Sex Stories episode. Again, I feel violated myself after having heard that story. So your curator, that's me, Jackie, and then our readers today were...
Rachel.
Louis.
Sylvia.
Isaac.
Nate.
Aaron.
Alright, guys, and if you made it through this episode, we'll probably see you on the next one, and if you didn't, well, whoever wrote Paw Patrol rape stories,
Thank you for ruining our show.
well, it wasn't my show, but you need to go see a therapist, and that's my advice for you.
God help us out.
God help us all.
When I'm gone, oh honey, so our friendship ceases from now on.
Hi again, it's Isaac from Nonessential Media. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'd love to hear from you, so please feel free to reach out to us on our Twitter at NonessentialM or our Facebook by searching Nonessential Media. We also have a website, nonessentialmedia.com, and on there you can find info about our creators, other projects like Lifecast and Zeros of the Tabletop. There's also some awesome merch you'll want to check out. Be sure to check us out on Patreon. We have some really cool content, such as behind-the-scenes shenanigans and non-essential personnel. As always, thank you for listening, and we love your support.